Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dee, welcome if you're new. Today we're going to do two topics, the first being Eileen Gu VPN, the super controversial person that has had a lot of media attention. The funny part is when she tried to defend China's internet freedom, her own message was actually censored by the Chinese government. I don't even bother to point out the irony. And then we're going to do a quick follow-up with the Xuzhou mother who got chained up and forced to have 8 children. We'll see where that incident has been up to now. So before I start, I want to quickly address something up front. For the last video I received a lot of constructive criticism, which I think most are fair, and I'm gladly accepting them. But also I saw a lot of hateful and borderline eugenic comments, which I'm not okay with. I just want to make it very clear that I am doing this on my channel because I'm realizing that it's so crucial and critical to speak up for the sober Chinese, for the Chinese that are still kind, genuine, that love freedom, as much as all the people who want freedom and who love the freedom they enjoy in America and other countries. I want to let the world know that we exist and we want to have a voice, and we can have a voice. So I'm not doing it because I hate my kind. I'm not doing it because I hate myself. I want more and more Chinese people to heal. I know it might sound like wishful thinking, but that's honestly where I come from. Otherwise, I'm not benefiting from this channel, honestly. I'm a super small channel. I have a full-time job and other part-times. So I'm not expecting making money from my channel. I'm doing it purely because I can't stand it anymore. This is wrong. And for some people to pretend that they are against the atrocity, but also they are against Chinese people, just stop that hypocrisy. You're not welcomed here on this channel. If I see those hateful comments ever again, I will block you and report you. Also, I encourage everyone else to do the same for people like that. So now that's out of the way, let's go to today's topic. So the first one, Eileen Gu defends China's internet freedom. Her message is censored. The contentious comment, quote, "Anyone can download a VPN. It's literally free on the Apple Store," unquote. This is where I have troubles with people like Eileen Gu. Honestly, quite frankly, I don't care for her. I really don't care for people like that. I saw a lot of reports, including from Americans, saying that it's her own personal choice, which country she fights for, and it's supposed to be her own family issues. Just give her a break and whatnot. I mean, if she is just a normal American girl with Chinese heritage trying to visit her family in China and back and forth, just talking good things about her experience in China and whatnot, that's totally fine. I don't give a fuck. But when she is representing the Chinese government, when she is speaking with the authority, and she's trying to defend a system that prevents everyday people from getting the same rights and freedom that she enjoys, that's where I take issues with. And she is trying to reap the benefits from both systems to the maximum, including her mother, of course. And then for her to show this disdain, this arrogance.
So yeah, if people don't believe me and if people don't like me, then that's their loss. They're never going to win the Olympics. So
for the countrymen that actually built this country that made her success possible, it's just straight up disgusting. And then even though she was all social justice-ish in America and speaking up for like BLM, anti-Asian and stuff, but then refusing to acknowledge that women's issues in China is huge. And the latest news with Xuzhou mother, she didn't even bother to even mention it. I really doubt if she has never seen it on the media. And then for her to like ignore all these issues, it's just so unfair to the people who don't enjoy her privileges. And also when she say she represents the Chinese girls and that she wants to inspire other Chinese girls, I just want to laugh at it, because honestly, do you really think if you were born and raised in China and then grew up in that system, being controlled by that system, you would have stood on that podium right now. That's basically wishful thinking. And even though she say, her family say that they travel back and forth, they're super bicultural, she had never spent a day in the Chinese system, even though she said studying math in Haidian in Beijing for 10 days were better than studying a whole year of math in America. Then why don't you stay in China full time? That's just the hypocrisy. She doesn't know the suffering of everyday Chinese people. She never had to suffer from the pressure. She only just speak for whatever that's popular so that she can reap the maximum benefits, basically. Honestly, I like that she has a lot of talents, but when you have talents but no morality, your talents mean nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say the German scientists were super talented, super smart, but when you're serving Nazis, then you might as well be dumb. I don't have anything else to say about her. She just represents the very elite Chinese elite class and people who are extreme opportunists. Again, I mean, I don't really care for her citizenship, and also I know a lot of people don't really care, but they just don't like the lack of transparency around people like her. Like, how come they can enjoy such privilege when other people don't even get to have a passport in China? You know how hard it is to get a passport? And if she can take all the fames, then she sure should take the criticisms and backlashes. So now let's quickly take a look at the Xuzhou mother's case. BBC News just reported China claims arrests of human traffickers in chained women's case. This is the fourth governmental announcements that was put out, and the governmental announcements that came out previously all contradict with one another. So the very ironic thing is when this whole tragedy broke out in the first place, the government immediately said that this woman was legally married to her so-called husband and that there was no human trafficking involved. Doesn't that sound familiar? When COVID just broke out, they said it's not human-to-human transmissible, but then find out it actually is. So let's see. Authorities in China's Xuzhou city say that a mentally ill woman who was found with a chain around her neck in a village hut is a victim of human trafficking. 3 people have been arrested in connection with the case. A video of the mother of 8 sparked massive anger online when it emerged 2 weeks ago. So with this, I can still see some hope in the Chinese society because most people are not okay with it at all. Like, most people are extremely angered by this whole nonsense, and they're trying to fight for justice for this woman, and they're trying to seek the truth. And I would say the Chinese government was kind of a little more relaxed on this issue because they probably want to at least give the Chinese netizens a somewhat outlet to release their pressure, anger, and frustration at the system than they normally have. But now I think with the more and more attention, and especially international attention given to this case, I think the government will react to it differently. Officials first dismissed trafficking claims, but outraged netizens had kept up pressure, with some making daily calls for investigation. Many of them also raised suspicions about kidnapping and abuse. Even the hype around the Beijing Olympics has failed to distract people from the issue. A Weibo topic on the woman's plight has received more than 3 billion views since the news first emerged. The woman had been found locked up in a doorless shed outside her home, wearing a thin layer of clothing in freezing temperatures. She was taken to hospital after her circumstances were made public by a Chinese vlogger. Officials said she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So imagine what would happen to her if had the vlogger never made her situation public. She would have just stayed in that hut and in the super freezing cold, and nobody would care for her. She would still be chained up and just living in deep despair until the day she passes. And then later on, the people found out that in that village, a lot of women were actually bought from other places, and they didn't marry into the village on their free will. And then a lot of abuses were happening in that village. And then there was another woman next door that was basically paralyzed and had to lay on the ground for 20 years and living in that kind of horrifying condition. And again, like, I hate to bring up Eileen Gu again, but if she's so up for politics, why doesn't she even look at this? This is, I guess, her adopted country. Why doesn't she care for her own country people? So that's that. The case has sparked national anger in China since it emerged in late January and focused attention on women in rural areas and bride trafficking. So because of the one-child policy, most of the Chinese girls in rural areas were either never been born because they were aborted, or they were killed after being brought to the world immediately, or they were abandoned and left to die, or they were adopted by other households, which were the lucky ones. So this policy single-handedly created the most imbalanced woman to man gender ratio in the world. Now there are probably way more than 30 million single men in China that will not have wives simply because of this ratio. So next, what are the twists and turns of the story? When local officials first responded to the public outrage on 28th January, they dismissed human trafficking claims, saying that the woman was legitimately married to a local man. They identified her by her surname Yang and said she had been diagnosed with a mental illness. They admitted authorities had not properly intervened when the couple had more than 2 children in breach of China's then family planning laws. But this response left netizens enraged that officials had not done more to help the woman. Under public pressure, authorities said they would investigate the family further. So this is the sad reality in China. If you don't have a lot of public attention on a social event, social issue, the local government or legislation will not look into it as carefully as they should. On Tuesday, they said they had found Miss Yang's true identity and named her as Xiaohua Mei, a woman from the southwestern Yunnan province. Xiaohua Mei, this name kind of sounds like, to me, it sounds like a name of a prostitute, kind of like Candy, Crystal, something like that. It's not a real name. Xiaohua Mei means little plum blossom, an unusual name for a Chinese person, and is more likely to be a nickname. Officials said they had sent investigators to the region because a village there had been named in the woman's marriage certificate. There, they said locals told them that Xiaohua Mei had been previously married and her mental illness had emerged after she returned home after a divorce in 1996. Xiaohua Mei's parents, who have since died, then apparently asked another villager known as Miss Song to take her to Jiangsu province to help her seek treatment and find a husband. Miss Song said she and Xiaohua Mei then embarked on the cross-country train ride, but she lost her companion when she arrived in Jiangsu. She never informed police or told Xiaohua Mei's parents, authorities said. Some netizens suggested that this was a most euphemistic way of describing abduction. Yeah, I mean, how is that possible? When you're taking somebody to get treatments for illness and then they were lost on the road, you don't even bother to inform the victim's family nor the police. How is that making any sense? Chinese officials on Thursday finally charged Ms. Song and her husband with human trafficking. The person claiming to be the woman's husband has been charged with illegal detention. Well, it wasn't until it sparked public fury that the authorities were actually doing something right that they were supposed to do. How how convenient. Chinese netizens welcomed the latest update but appeared suspicious of officials' explanations. Many continued to criticize authorities for only addressing the issue after public pressure and criticized their lack of accountability. Others also pointed out that officials had not addressed allegations that she had been abused by her present husband or the circumstances in which she had given birth to 8 children. So keep in mind, after this whole incident broke out, this man who was supposed to be the husband actually got sponsorships from local companies. He was giving money for simply being the abuser and the so-called father of 8 children of the woman he abused. So if it weren't for the ever-growing social pressure, I mean, he would have lived a life like a king for somebody who is an utter loser in life. So I think that was also partially why Chinese netizens are just not satisfied with how things are going with this case. More widely, the case has highlighted the broader issue of trafficking in China, particularly in poorer rural areas. Many netizens have urged authorities to address other cases of missing women or abuse. You will see so many Chinese people coming out saying that they know somebody or they know somebody's that know somebody who saw that the woman in the village was actually bought from somewhere else or even some other countries. This is such a prevalent problem. A lot of the reason, I think most reasons why the local authorities never did something was that first, it simply was too much work to do, and they were not monetarily incentivized to do something. Government doesn't really give them fundings to actually save these women, rescue these women. And also, secondly, a very possible reason is that a lot of these local officials were actually in bed with the human traffickers. So how can you go after somebody that actually do business with you and actually provide you with monetary benefits? Other user wrote on Weibo earlier this week, I have been watching silently. I am also an ordinary person. All I can do is hope that these women will be rescued and that the wicked get the punishment they deserve. So that is the latest progress on this case, and we will continue to follow it closely and then see what's the next step. I am not extremely hopeful, but at least some actions are taken, and I do hope people with a conscience who has the ability to speak up can actually stand up. And it's about time. If you don't speak up, things like this will never end. Because if you don't hold people accountable, they will become incentivized to do things that are not right. So it's up to you and me to keep them checked. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Thank you.